Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning on the west side of the map, playing in red, we've got Valdemar, playing as the Ottomans. And his opponent on the side, playing in blue, we've got Anotand, playing as the Ayyubids. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. Two fantastic civilizations going head to head with actually really two great players, in fact, for Age of Empires 4. Kind of excited for this one because the Ottomans and Ayyubids have gone through, well, I mean, to be fair, the Ayyubids pretty new civilization. The Ottomans have been around for a little while, but I haven't seen this matchup too often, and I'm kind of excited because both civilizations have a lot of options. I think, there was a time where the Ottomans kind of stuck to their one thing of, kind of late feudal age, maybe early castle age pressure with a timing attack with plenty of free units for the military school, but now, actually late game Ottomans is not too shabby when you factor in the Great Bombard and how much damage it can do. Janissaries, forcing their enemies away from cavalry units. But, the Ayyubids are no joke either, especially when you factor in their castle age presence. The fact that they can get there really fast with the particular, wings they may choose. Sometimes go for miniature wing just to buy some time, and then go with the growth to get 8 villages in the castle age. It's always a potential. It's quite a common build, but maybe Anotand has something a little bit different in mind today. We'll have to see. Consider also the fact they have dervishes in the castle age, get those relics nice and quickly, and what we typically seem to find with the Ayyubids rather, is they, after having a bit of map presence early on, they tech up, they can sometimes sneakily add in a second town centre or two. We do see it quite often, and often they get away with it, and that gives them a good late game. The Ottomans, on the other hand, if they do get to the late game themselves, with the Great Bombards, man-at-arms, they're a strong force to deal with, especially when you've got the Janissaries, the threat of them at least. It forces their enemy away from cavalry, and it means that actually, going up against the Ottomans, it's a bit suffocating at times. The reason why is if you do go cavalry, it's okay in the feudal age, but it doesn't really mount well because the castle age comes in, Ottomans get Janissaries, your cavalry are a bit, they're exposed. And so if you can't go cavalry up against the Ottomans, what does that leave you with? Well, it's basically infantry, isn't it? And the problem with that is you don't have your mobility, you don't have your map presence as much. You've got to play a totally different play style, and you've got to play a different game. And bearing that in mind, the Ottomans might look to try and nab some of those relics. They can sometimes get the a fastish castle themselves, but more importantly, get those imams out really quickly as a vizier point. They can get 2 nice and quickly. If they get on the map, try and scoop up some relics. It could be powerful. Going to be the twin minaret madrasa to come on out for the Ottomans. No real surprises there. The early spearmen for the early imperial, what do you call it again? There we go, military school. It's quite late for me at the moment, so I'm pretty zoned out at times. But the military school, as you can see, oh, that spearman getting some damage onto him. Just causing some idle time as much as possibly can. What I have seen sometimes is players use spearmen to try and push in deer, but the deer camp is a little bit too far away for that, for the Ottomans today. Wait, let's take a look what the Ayyubids going up with. It's actually going to go for growth here now, early on, to get 3 villages, and also extra 50 berries. Bear in mind, it's a kind of unfortunate situation. We see a lot of players do this. I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, because it's only 50 food, although by the time it comes in, it might be more than that, because this berry bush... no, to be fair, is okay. Yeah, but ultimately, Anotand has lost 1 berry bush, so that's not going to be, additional 50 that he would get on that one, but it's just 1 berry bush, so it's not the end of the world. I'm kind of interested to see if Anotand will add in an outpost. The reason why is because if he is going to go for a fast castle behind this, he's got to make sure he keeps the gold safe. Especially when you factor in the Ottomans, they're quite likely to get a stable in nice and early. Go for Sabahi. He's going to go for a blacksmith first, just to increase the production speed of his current military school, and then whatever comes in afterwards. He's getting pushed away from gold, so no real fast castle play here for the Ayyubids. No real harm done, because the Ayyubids, actually, to be fair, they've got a decent feudal age in them as well. Going to add in an archery range. Could get some desert raiders, some archers potentially. We'll have to see. Either way, whilst we figure out what the players are up to, I'd like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or on YouTube. You guys are absolute legends, so thank you. You guys are absolute legends. And it's going to be a stable added in for Valdemar. No real surprises. That's going to give him access to the supply, of course, and it's something we kind of expected to see at this stage of the game. And Supply gives him the good mobility and allow the Valdemar to get on the map. pretty quickly. Hang on a minute, did he actually wait, did he open with 2 scouts? That's kind of interesting. He does have a lot of sheep. That's pretty spectacular, actually. I don't know if he added that in after, but didn't spot it earlier. It's kind of crazy if he did opt for 2 scouts to start off with. Not something you see commonly with the ayyubids. Wait, is he going to go... Oh, he's pushing them in. That's a long distance push, but hey, you got to respect it. He's going to get wheelbarrow now. That's a lot of sheep as well. It's something that the ayyubids do love to do this because, of course, they're reliant on berries in the early game. It allows them to be a bit more explorative with their scouts. Obviously, you can keep the scout out on the map doing crazy things. There's an early desert raider. What's kind of cool, though, for the ayyubids, this is actually kind of an interesting thing to think about. The Janissary threat from the Ottomans obviously goes a long way to try and deter the ayyubids away from cavalry. Which is unfortunate because cavalry, for the ayyubids do cause a Camelot knees, which can cause enemy cavalry, for example the Sabahi, to do 20% less damage. I think overall though, it's always worth having a couple of cavalry units as the ayyubids, a couple sprinkled in because you get the debuff in. Trouble is, when the Janissaries get their way, they're gonna take them out pretty quickly. And that, ladies and gents, will be Golden Age Tier 1 for the ayyubids. Going to give an extra 10% gather rate for villagers on any resource. It's actually a really powerful upgrade for sure, especially when you consider the opponent. Because the Ottomans in of themselves don't really get an eco bonus. Of course, they get free units, which is incredibly nice. But 10% is really quite nice for the villagers. Oh, looks like he's going to have to just kill some of the deer camp because I think Valdemar is going to be pesky and annoy this. Yeah, he's going to try and stop the deer camp coming in further. I mean, to be fair, it's not too terrible if the deer camp doesn't get pushed any further, because you can just build a mill out here. They're all pushed in quite close. It could be a lot worse. It's going to get the sheep in anyway. And the reason why this is actually not bad is because the gold is here as well. So an outpost or two, or some sort of static defenses, will protect not only the deer camp, but the gold as well. And what might even transpire, not so much now, but if he does want to take the deer camp a little bit later, we'll talk about how the ayyubids, sometimes they sneak in a second town centre. Maybe a second town centre could go there. I mean, you got to be a bit ballsy for that, because I think the Ottomans' timing push is about to come in soon. 8 minutes on the clock, and as I say that, actually, he's not really going to go for that timing push. He's going to go for the castle age himself and going to get an outpost on the gold vein. So it looks like Ottoman's going to be trying to sweep up some relics if he can. The ayyubid's pretty far away from that castle age, I've got to say, but there is that outpost as we kind of expected to see. And yeah, he's focusing on the castle age himself. Now, one thing to consider as well, when you do actually have the resources to get to the castle age, the ayyubids are kind of stuck in terms of their research speed. I mean, honestly, goes for the culture wing, then, obviously it does take 20% less time, but other than that, there's no way to speed up the tech up any further for the ayyubids. That cannot be said for the Ottomans. He's got 8 villages on it at the moment. You could always put some more if you wanted to. He's going to go for the Mehmed Imperial Armory, no real surprises. And again, I think this is a really big feature of the Ottomans, the fact that they try and push their enemies into things they don't necessarily want to do. Kind of forcing them away from cavalry with their Janissaries, forcing them into some sort of anti-siege because of the Mehmed Imperial Armory, giving them free mangonels. So it's something the ayyubids, to be fair, are going to be well equipped at dealing with. They can build the siege units on the ground, and so he's going to need to think about doing some of that, maybe get a couple of springles or two to deal with what's inevitably going to be coming out of the Mehmed Imperial Armory, the free mangonels, of course. But I've got to say, ayyubids in this matchup, I think they're pretty strong. They're pretty good, I think. We'll see how he managed to deal with the oncoming threat from the Ottomans. He's going to be walling up a little bit, in fact, a lot of it. Because it's going to be walling up the east side too. Now, there is that castle age for Valdemar, and ultimately the Ottomans aren't going to be too ahead of what the ayyubids are up to, because he's going to go for the culture wing, so he's going to get there a little bit cheaper, a little bit quicker too, and just as well. And so we're going to come down to a race for the relics, I guess. I guess the Ottomans, do they actually already have the imams on the field? Doesn't seem like it, actually. He does have a mosque and he's training them the old-fashioned way. Alright, one spear in for the spy. Spy, take him out. But this is where it becomes interesting, right? Because the ayyubids are going to need to think about getting the deer camp soon. Like, he's kind of running out of sheep. He's run out of berries. Oh, he's got... I take it back. He's got 10 sheep. I take it back. The half of them are underneath the town side. I couldn't see it. Don't at me. But either way, there's the musk coming out for the ayyubids now, so there's going to be getting some of those dervishes. And I think because of the later time here for the ayyubids, I think if he's got at least 2 of the relics, he should be happy with that. But I mean, you can see there are units everywhere here for Valdemar. Although, those 2 Sipahi need to get out of there. Now, kind of interesting enough, despite having the mosque earlier, does he actually have some... Yeah, he does have some imams out, but not picked anything up just yet. Looks like he's going for the relics on the west side first. He's going to add in a second barracks for Ghulam, no doubt. Wall on the west side, doesn't get the scout, but there's no real way that Anotand denies that, to be honest. So, 1 relic... Wait. Valdemar? Hello? Wakey wakey! That's a bit of a concern. Hopefully he moves somewhat soon. Golden Age Tier 2 comes in for the ayyubids. Going to increase the research speed. It comes at a very nice juncture, actually, because he's just taken up to the Castle Age. So you want the timings to be a little bit quicker. That's exactly what happens with that upgrade. Or that Golden Age Tier, I should say. Adds in a couple of lancers. This is kind of cool, right? Because it does... We're talking about man at arms as the Ottomans, but ultimately, lancers are a good spot because Cavallanese is a little bit less of a threat when you've got Janissaries of your own. This is interesting to think about this matchup, I've got to say. Now Valdemar trying to take a trade here. Dervish going to go for the Wallalay. He's going to lose a lot, Valdemar, but he took a bit of a trade. Tried to get as much value as he possibly could. Does have to ride on home, and he does have the movement advantage, of course. The Desert Raider might just try and keep poking and prodding. Don't want to engage too much here, I don't think, Anotand, unnecessarily, because those are pretty heavily armoured cavalry. Well, the archers are doing okay-ish, but yeah, they're going to tickle the cavalry now, and that's not great for Anotand. He's going to have to back away. Ah, wait, Dervish! He's not moved! He's moving now. Doesn't have the charge for another Wallow. I think, yeah, Valdemar's going to focus on it. Makes a lot of sense to try and deny the relic coming on in. Already one in the bag here for Valdemar. Another one on the way. This one's going to be denied. I mean, will he be able to cheekily take this one away? I'm not so sure. Here comes the Mangonel. And I don't think the ayyubids are ready for that. He possibly does have the resources for a Springwood. He does, actually. He might have to build it quickly. Because the pressure's coming in for Valdemar, I've got to say. Look at that. 40 minutes on the clock almost now. This is where the Ottomans really start to come online, right? Because of the pre-production units. Although, it would be quite nice for him to have another one of these military schools. Oh, villagers being lost on deer camp. Well, it wasn't a villager actually, it was an archer in the end. Bit of a double-pronged attack, being a bit annoying on the right side. Here's Valdemar. We're looking to get those sacred sites. And there is that third military school. It was actually toggled over to crossbowmen and Sabai for one of them. Do we see meta actually? Kind of surprised not to see a meta. Does increase the attack speed of units. That would be quite nice to have here for the Ottomans eventually. Yeah, the Mangonel getting good damage. The ayyubids are going to have to get a Springald or two at some point. Because this is the thing actually for the Ottomans. It's kind of quite nice as a civilization in dictating terms. They get the Janissaries, which forces the enemy away from cavalry, forces the enemy basically into infantry, and then, well, guess what? Method Imperial Armory gives you Mangonels against infantry, and then, yeah, you know, kind of struggling there. So ayyubids forced into crossbowmen and spearmen because of the threat of the Janissaries, but now it has to deal with the Mangonel. They're definitely got to be careful about that. Needs to get a Springald if he can at some point, because that Mangonel moving forward for Valdemar pretty much uncontested, and that's going to be hard to stop. It's just going to keep on pushing. And he's getting the sacred sites as well, Valdemar. Picking up another relic at some... Wait, did he snag... That's cheeky. I think he snagged it. He's making a run for it. Yeah, he's picking it up. Well, he's picking that one up. The one that the Dervish dropped, I think he picked it up in the end. It might have been. Might be the ayyubids, because he has got one in the way as well. Either way, Sacred Site Timer has been activated, so Anotand has to try and find a way out onto the map. But he can't go out too early, right? Because his infantry-based army, if they get caught, you know, there's no retreating really. Doesn't have the mobility in that regard. But he's going to go for the central Sacred Site, it seems. Archer's going to Mangonel have to play a bit of catch-up on that. Or maybe not. He's heading back. Golden Age Tier 3 kicks on in. That's going to be a really nice boost up to the production speed. 20% on that. And he is now looking to get a Springald. Archer numbers looking decent here for Valdemar, but going up against heavily armoured units for the castle stage could be an issue, although having said that, the ayyubids don't really have many of that. So I think going Archer is actually really good for the Ottomans. There's no problem with that at all. Where's that first Springald? Is it still? Is that the still? That can't be the first one, right? Did he lose one? Looks like almost he lost one there. Didn't spot it either way. No Springald just yet. It takes a long time to build. There it is. Now I can start firing off. Mangonel doesn't get hit, by the way. He actually focused on something else with the Springald. Unfortunate, bit of a missed opportunity there. Still on for Mangonels. There's a second one. He's actually got a siege workshop, so he can make his own Springald. This is where it becomes dicey, right? Because siege for the Ottomans is pretty nifty. The ayyubid's a bit behind on that regard. 3 relics to 2, that's the eventual split, but 3 sacred sites for Valdemar, so plenty of gold will be trickling on in. Now, Valdemar's slowly trickling in some stone as well, maybe saving up for a keep later on. Take a while for that though, so maybe just more military schools. And there is the meta, increasing that attack speed. He's joining the forces. Ah, okay, so I want to mention that he cancelled the... Oh, God, he lost the Springald in the end there. But he must have cancelled the other one. With 2 Mangonels, 2 Springalds. This is actually not looking great for Anotand, I gotta say. He's got a good number of military units, but the concern is this Mangonels. It's really hard to push back without any siege, and he just lost one of his Springalds. Well, the only Springald that he had. And then you start to question, well, what other anti-siege does he have? Well, nothing really. Valdemar is going for that timing push, going to get 2 rams to add into the mix, and there's one thing dealing with the actual military units in the army, there's another thing dealing with the siege. As you can see here, spearmen. A lot of them took some serious damage though. Going to back away for now. No real choices really. This is where it could become dicey. I mean, there is possibly one way to deal with this, and that is to just charge on in and try and gap close, but ultimately the enemy will spot it and then they'll just try and block in the path to the Mangonels, and then it's kind of problems for you, of course. Speaking of problems, gold is a problem for the Anotand, has to move on out even further. Map control firmly in the grasp of the Ottomans. This game is far from over, by the way, because Anotand, if you can build up a force, take one big fight. And the biggest threat really are the Mangonels. Spearman sent at the west side, forcing Valdemar back a little bit. He doesn't want to get surrounded, right? That's the big detail. This is decent play by Anotand to try and get some damage in, but because they're mostly spearmen... Oh, wait, what's going on? He's leaving that incredibly exposed. The siege is backing away now just as well, because if anything popped to take those out, they would have been pretty unguarded. Yeah, Anotand says, you know what? Attack is the best form of defense. I'm going to try and take out your numbers here with the spearmen. Take out reinforcements. As we say that though, guess what pops out from the American Imperial Armory? It's the Mangonel. There's not much of a meat shield in front of it, so the Ghulam and the spearman quite possibly going to take it down. In fact, I say quite possibly, is almost certainly going to take it down. Down she goes. On the east side though, Valdemar really pushing on heavy, taking out the mosque, causing the relics to pop out and minimizing the gold income coming in for the ayyubids. This is not looking good for Anotand, I've got to say. Mangonels deploy, spearmen and Ghulam attacking the front. Well, I've got to say, the military numbers looking decent here for Anotand, but he's got to deal with the Mangonels if he can. Struggling to get on top of them. Good micro there by Anotand to get out of the way. Ghulam charging on in. I've got to say that the archer numbers, I mean, it's all good having archers, but they're getting absolutely ripped apart by the Ghulam. The only real threat are the lancers, which aren't really existing anymore. I think Anotand wins this fight in a big way. Like, there's just no real way that those archers stand up here. Village coming out to torch down as well. Oh, trying to go for a smash and grab on one of those relics, but he's going to lose the mangonels now. And look, he's going to just fight with the villagers now. Why not? Takes out the mangonel with the villagers, and Siege are all going down. This is a massive pushback by anotand. We talked about him not being out of the game, and well, he's proven it now. He is right back in it. Valdemar potentially overextended. He just didn't really have the right units in the end. I guess the thing is that Valdemar was poking and prodding for such a long time. The ayyubids knew exactly what he's up against. He knew he was up against archers, so it made sense to go for Gulam, and that's exactly what he did. Look at it now. It is smashing and grabbing that one relic though, so there's a bit of a small cheeky win there for Valdemar in terms of relic counts coming in because of that. The long-term consequences of that fight could be devastating. Archer number still trickling in. This is a bad rally point here for Valdemar, I think. He's recognised it now. He's pulling the army back. Getting gold on the east side. Pretty sneaky position to do it, actually. It's kind of fun. Oh, Valdemar possibly getting in a Wallow, trying to get Wallow. I think he's going to lose the Imam. He's going to lose the relic, but the mangonels do deploy. Doesn't get too much of a hit that he would have wanted, and anotand's going to back away, but ultimately I think anotand's fine to back away here. Considering his earlier position and how pegged at home he was, he's got a lot of breathing room to work with now. Takes out a meta, but he does need to re-get that relic. Although, yeah, it's unfortunate to lose this one, because now it really tips the balance in his favour, Valdemar, in terms of relic count. It's an evenly poised game, I've got to say. Fascinating one so far. A lonely Gulam, been chopped in half, can't see the top half, only the bottom. Bit of hesitation to move out for Valdemar. Don't blame him after that last fight. But the bigger concern is how things develop. Oh, that's a Gulam. I'm going to get some value. Oh, no, there's a Janissary, so he will go down eventually. But at this stage of the game, it's a curious one, because I think the ayyubids actually, with the production speed, they've got a really good powerhouse in the Castle Age. Well, he is now having to get a farming transition, which is less than ideal. The Ottomans yet to do that. I think if the ayyubids can survive the next 10-15 minutes, he's going to be a good spot, because by that time, he would have pretty much probably finished his farming transition. But this could be the worst possible time to try and hold his mid-farming transition, but he's going to be attacked anyway, and Valdemar, courtesy of the map positioning he's been having, has been able to take the deer camps and delay his farming transition of his own and pump out more units. This next fight could be critical. Those three mangonels, it's kind of playing with fire here. Anotand's got to be careful. I think the Manitars will be okay, but everything else is a bit tricky. He's going to get a second Springald just as well. You definitely want that second Springald to be able to one-shot a Mangonel. Or as I say that the Mangonel's focusing on the Springald, he's going to lose it. Oh, Anotand, yeah, lost it. That's unfortunate. He's actually lost a couple of Springals like that in the game so far. Oh no, these villagers on the right side being pushed back, and yeah, this is not looking too great now. Once again, Valdemar on the offensive, looking to do some significant damage. And it feels like, okay, hello, he's going for a forward keep. Understandably so, going to deny that wood line. Yeah, wood's going to become an issue. He's got the wood line on the right side, but you know, all the woods are forward here for Anotand, and I don't think there's a way for him to deny that keep. This is a significant problem the Ottomans are putting in his face right now. We've seen this time and time again, actually, forward keeps like this for Valdemar. And it seems to work more often than it doesn't. Janissaries, crossbowmen, heading on in. Oh, kind of being sacrificed a little bit. I'm not so sure about that. Valdemar going up against range units. The Janissaries will be ripped up, and yeah, he has to back away. Oh god, okay. Bit of a donation of units. We're trying to break through on the right side. Anotand's got to be careful about that. That keep is going to be a great staging ground to attack from. Can also go for the emplacement in the Imperial Age. Great bombard emplacement. That's an absolute beast of an emplacement. Gulam being sent around the back. Again, just more of a distraction technique more than anything, I suspect. And concern for the ayyubids is that it looks like the Ottomans making a move down through the middle, right through the middle, in the heart of the ayyubid economy. And that's kind of what's behind this. Does have to keep it closer to home, but again, to be fair, that mostly protects the production, not much in terms of resources. Keep is better than no keep, though. He's going to snag that 5th relic as well. Bit of a smash and grab, but indeed. 5 mangonels. Yeah, anotand. I don't know. I mean, he did have a way back in the last fight, but this time, whether he's got what he needs, I'm not so sure. Because that's a lot of siege. That is a lot of siege. Couple of units hanging around in the back and forcing anotand back to try and deal with that. Can't really address this just yet on the front lines. Could opt for some trebuchets, but just doesn't really have the resources for it. He's going to chase these units down in the south forest. Now they will perish, although I don't know if Valdemar will pull them out quick enough. He's going to pull them out now. Survives with 2 archers and also the meta, although the meta might go down soon. And trebuchet comes out for Valdemar instead. Loses the meta, and he's going to lose the 2 archers too, or maybe not actually. He just denies to, just ignores them in the end. The first of possibly many trebuchets. In fact, let's take a look what the Heaven Imperial Armory is still. Yeah, it's still on mangonels. Fair enough. But the real concern is gold. He's got the gold in the north. He's got to make sure this is protected, and then on the next one too. Because you have to consider at this stage of the game, on Dry Arabia, you got to think about where the 8,000 tile gold veins are. And how best can you protect them. And that does seem to favour Valdemar quite significantly, that gold vein, I've got to say. Oh, he's going to go for that one there. Anotand with a keep. Yeah, he definitely wants gold vein access, right? That's understandable. We managed to take some siege engines out. They've actually got 4 Smugglers now, so decent count. But look at the number of mangonels. We've seen something a bit cheeky at times where mass mangonels can actually take down Smugglers. Kind of feels broken, but it is what it is. But it is coming out to torch down the outpost, and we'll take it down. Oh, that's a lot of villages, by the way. That's 20... Whoa, that's 29 villages. Like, if that's an area that Valdemar chooses to attack and destroy, that could be painful. He's pushing on with the mangonels, though. He's had enough. He's had enough for hanging back. He feels like there aren't enough Springles from his enemies, and he's going to make him punished for that. He's going to punish him. Down the south. Does have some gold trickling on in. 47 villages on gold. He's desperate for it. Not so sure if it's going to be enough. It's been patient. It's been solid by Valdemar, and the siege mass for him could be possibly what wins this game. He's going to get some prams as well just to add into the mix. And bear in mind, the ayyubids only got 2 landmarks, the capital town centre and the House of Wisdom, so everything is under pressure. Anotand, will he have enough to fight this off? It looks like he's going to fight for one last battle. Spearmen, crossbowmen, springalds. And tier 3 deactivated. That's possibly the start of the end. 2 Springles head on through. Should get 1 mangonel. Does get 1 mangonel to start off with and backs away. A bit of a freebie, but plenty of more of those where they came from for Valdemar and the Ottomans. Around the back, on the gold. No real pressure from the Ottomans to deal with it. He's got bigger priorities. He's got more priorities down the middle. Slowly but surely taking down the capital town centre and quite possibly the House of Wisdom behind it. Loses 1 Springald to the Ottomans. Yeah, this is looking smooth here by Valdemar, I gotta say. And next up, it's going to be the House of Wisdom. And that's the last landmark. Valdemar still trying to deny the gold income on the east side, trying to get an outpost, and you can see they play it to the death. But this number of rams, it should be okay to take that, especially with the mangonels. Oh, it does lose 1 though, and a second. This is great micro by Anotand. Takes out 3 mangonels, that's mass, and a 4th one. Holy smokes! Surely not. Is there a way that Anotand comes back from this? Absolutely bonkers. How he took out all the siege. That was the main threat from the Ottomans, and that threat has been nullified. As I say that, that's a lot of Janissaries, a lot of archers. I mean, imagine if he had a Manjanik here of his own. That would be incredible. And I think it's got to be a mixture of Gulam here, ideally. But he's struggling to deal with the last ram. It's still half health on the House of Wisdom. Getting attack notifications, but not really much happening down the south. It's mostly Janissaries versus archers, and I gotta say there's only kind of 1 winner in that, and it's the archers, although as long as the numbers are good, that is. 2 trebuchets. Holding a position just now in front of the keep. Using the town centre though is not great, because now he's not going to be able to produce any more villagers, at least for the short term. Unless he gets another town centre somehow, which he can't really afford. And yeah, and ultimately the Ottomans are probably going to keep him population capped, or population denied, I guess, in a way. He's just not going to be able to get any more villagers, whereas the Ottomans certainly will be. Oh, the House of Wisdom being trebucheted down. 2 trebuchets working on it. And there it is, then, gentlemen. Anotand, the pressure was just way too much there for Valdemar. He played it smooth, and ultimately the siege, the Janissaries into siege was such a strong play for Valdemar and the Ottomans. Hope you guys enjoyed this castle game on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.